You know how they say a mother always knows when something's wrong with her child? That's a lie. Or maybe it's just wishful thinking from people who've never had to face the truth. Sometimes, we miss the signs entirely. My phone rang at 2:47 a.m. on a Tuesday, and when I answered it, I heard my daughter's voice. Except it wasn't really her voice anymore. It was what was left of it after her husband beat her, and then called 911 to report that she'd attacked him. The police believed him. They handcuffed her. They banned her from her own home. And I, a social worker who spent 3 decades helping abuse victims escape, had somehow missed every single warning sign. If you are hooked already and eager to know what happens next, click the subscribe button, and tell me in the comments where you are watching so I can send you a hug. Your support helps us bring more mind-blowing stories, and trust me, you wouldn't want to miss them. The phone call didn't just interrupt the silence of my Tuesday night. It detonated the carefully constructed peace I'd built after 3 decades of witnessing other people's tragedies. It was 2:47 a.m. Rain hammered against the windows of my modest ranch house in Tacoma, a percussion that usually comforted me to sleep, but now sounded like fists pounding on glass. I reached for my phone on the nightstand, my hand steady. Not from calm, but from 30 years of training as a social worker who'd answered crisis calls in the dead of night. I knew that voices at this hour never announced good news. They announced devastation. When I swiped the screen, the voice that came through was barely human. It was fractured, soaked in pain, like someone trying to speak through shattered teeth. Mom, my heart didn't just stop. It plummeted. Then it roared back to life, slamming against my ribs like it was trying to break free. Alexandria. My Alexandria. But the voice was all wrong, stripped of the confidence I'd heard just 2 days ago when she'd called to tell me about a difficult EMT call she'd handled with grace. Mom, Gerald hit me. The words spilled out in jagged gasps. But they arrested me, the police. They put me in handcuffs. Mom, they won't let me go home. I bolted upright. The blanket slid off my shoulders. The bedroom suddenly felt smaller, the walls closing in, the darkness no longer comforting but suffocating. Gerald Dallas, the polished financial advisor, the man who donated to women's shelters and played golf with city officials. The man who had stood beside my daughter at their wedding 3 years ago, his hand on her waist, his smile flawless, promising everyone, that he would cherish her forever. Mom, Alexandria whispered, and the terror in her voice sent ice shooting through my veins. They believe him. He's acting like he's the victim. There are officers here taking photos of scratches on his arm. Mom, I didn't do that. He did that to himself. I saw him. Her voice cracked, broke apart entirely. I was already out of bed. My feet hit the cold hardwood floor. I moved on autopilot, sweatpants, jacket, car keys. My hands working while my mind struggled to catch up with the enormity of what I'd just heard. Alexandria, listen to me, I said. And my voice shifted into the tone I'd used 1,000 times before when interviewing traumatized clients. The voice that cut through panic and chaos. Do not say another word to anyone. Do not sign anything. Do not let them question you without representation. I am coming right now. I didn't wait for her response. I was already out the door. The drive to Seattle Memorial Hospital normally took 35 minutes. I made it in 21. My Honda Accord tore through the rain-slicked streets, headlights cutting through the downpour, windshield wipers fighting a losing battle against the deluge. Every red light I ran was a violation of the very systems I'd worked within my entire career. Every speeding law I broke was a betrayal of the order I'd once believed protected people like my daughter. But tonight, I wasn't Lauren Pittman, retired social worker with a spotless record and a reputation for objectivity and compassion. Tonight, I was a mother whose daughter had been beaten by the man who swore to love her and then blamed for her own assault. Tonight, I was a woman who had spent 30 years identifying the warning signs of abuse in strangers' lives, only to realize I'd been willfully blind to them in my own daughter's marriage. As I drove, fragments of the past 6 months flashed through my mind like evidence I'd ignored at trial. Alexandria, canceling Sunday dinners at the last minute. The long sleeves she wore even in summer. The way her smile had dimmed, becoming something rehearsed rather than genuine. The text messages that grew shorter, more carefully worded. The financial stress she'd mentioned once, then never brought up again when I'd tried to ask follow-up questions. Gerald's voice in my head, smooth and reassuring. She's just stressed from work. Lauren, you know how demanding the EMT schedule is. I'm taking care of her. Guilt settled over me like a weight I'd carry forever. I had spent a lifetime rescuing other people's children, and I had failed to save my own. The hospital loomed ahead, blue lights from a remaining police cruiser flickering against the emergency room entrance like a lighthouse warning of nearby wreckage. I pulled into the parking lot, killed the engine, and sat for 3 seconds, just 3, allowing myself to feel the full crushing weight of what was happening. Then I opened the door and stepped into the rain. My daughter needed saving, and this time, I would not fail her. To understand how we got here, how a mother trained to spot abuse could miss it in her own daughter's marriage, you have to go back to the beginning. Back to the day Alexandria met Gerald Dallas at a hospital fundraiser, where he was the guest of honor and she was the EMT who saved a choking victim before dessert was served. 3:14 a.m., 4 hours earlier. The punch doesn't announce itself. One moment, Alexandria is standing in the hallway, bank statements clutched in her trembling hand, demanding answers about their drained savings account. The next moment, the world explodes into white noise and copper. His fist connects with her cheekbone. Sound collapses. Her ears ring, a high-pitched whine that drowns out everything except the wet click of her jaw shifting. Blood floods her mouth. The hallway tilts sideways, or maybe she does. Her knees buckle. The floor rushes up to meet her. She lands hard, hip bone cracking against hardwood, vision fracturing into double, then triple images. Gerald stands above her, chest heaving. But something is wrong. His breathing is controlled, measured. His eyes aren't wild with rage. They're focused, calculating, like he's watching himself from a distance, evaluating his performance. He steps back, examines his hands, flexes his fingers. Then, without a word, he turns and walks toward the kitchen. Alexandria tries to move. Her body refuses. Her arm reaches for her phone on the hall table, 3 feet away, might as well be 3 miles. Her fingers scrape uselessly against the floor. A whisper escapes her lips, meant to be a scream. Help! No one hears. Through blurred vision, she watches Gerald at the kitchen sink. He's not washing his hands. He's looking in the small mirror mounted above the faucet. His face is eerily calm. He lifts his right arm, examines it. Then, he drags his fingernails down his own forearm, deliberately, methodically. 4 parallel scratches blooming red. Alexandria's brain struggles to process what she's seeing. He does it again, deeper this time. Fresh blood wells up. He studies the result like an artist perfecting a canvas. Then he practices. His hands begin to shake, not from fear, but from effort, forcing the tremor. His breathing becomes rapid, theatrical. He mouths words silently, rehearsing. Finally, he picks up his phone. 911? His voice cracks perfectly, trembling with manufactured terror. My wife. She attacked me with a lamp. I'm bleeding. Please, please hurry. I don't know what's wrong with her. She just snapped. Alexandria tries to scream. Only a wheeze comes out. Yes, I'm at 4075 Maple Grove Drive. Please hurry. I'm scared she'll do it again. The performance is flawless. Blue lights flicker through the windows within minutes. Too fast, like he knew exactly how long it would take. Officers pour through the door. Gerald points at Alexandria with a shaking hand. She did this. I was just trying to calm her down and she... Sir, step back. Are you injured? My arm. She scratched me. I was defending myself. Alexandria opens her mouth. No, ma'am. Stay down, don't move. But he did it to himself. I saw. Cold metal circles her wrists. The handcuffs click into place while she's still on the floor, still bleeding, still trying to make them understand. Gerald stands behind the officers, one hand pressed to his forehead, the picture of traumatized victimhood. As they lift Alexandria to her feet, he leans close. His lips brush her ear. You won't be stepping foot back here, he whispers. This is my home now. The squad car door slams. Through the rain-streaked window, Alexandria watches her house, her life, recede into darkness, blue lights painting everything the color of bruises. Officer Marcus Daniels has seen domestic calls for 15 years. He knows the script by heart. Chaos, tears, conflicting stories, someone lying. But when he steps through the door at 4725 Maple Grove Drive, something feels rehearsed in a way he can't quite name. Gerald Dallas stands in the living room, one hand pressed against his bleeding forearm, the other clutching the back of a chair for support. His voice trembles when he speaks. Thank God you're here. I didn't know what else to do. Beside Daniels, Officer Jenny Park, 6 months out of the academy, immediately moves toward Gerald. Sir, are you injured? My wife, she attacked me with that lamp. Gerald gestures toward a brass lamp lying on its side near the hallway entrance, glass fragments scattered across the hardwood. I was just trying to calm her down. She's been so stressed lately. The EMT job, you know? It changes people. Daniels studies the scene, the lamp, the blood on Gerald's arm, 4 parallel scratches, fresh and angry. The woman being restrained by the paramedics, blood on her face, barely conscious. Something tickles at the back of his mind. Recognition. Mr. Dallas? Daniel steps closer. Have we met before? Gerald's eyes widen slightly. Calculated surprise, perfect timing. The police charity gala, last month. I donated to the Domestic Violence Shelter Fund. Of course. The guy who wrote a check for $15,000 and gave a speech about protecting vulnerable women. Daniels remembers the standing ovation. She scratched you? Park asks, examining Gerald's arm. I was trying to stop her from hurting herself. Gerald's voice cracks. She's been saying things lately. Paranoid things. About me controlling her finances, monitoring her phone. None of it's true. I think she needs help. Professional help. Alexandria tries to speak from the floor. He did it to himself. She's been unstable. Gerald interrupts smoothly, pulling out his phone. Look, I have texts. Threatening messages she sent me last week. He scrolls, shows the screen to Daniels. The messages are there, time-stamped, explicit threats. Park glances at Daniels, uncertainty flickering across her face. Should we? Standard protocol, Daniels says, but his gut twists. Something about the scene feels staged. The lamp positioned too perfectly, the scratches too uniform. Gerald's breathing, panicked, but his eyes are calm, calculating. But the evidence is clear. The scratches, the texts, the reputation. Ma'am, you're under arrest, Daniel says, and hates how the words taste. Alexandria's face crumbles. No, no, please. He's lying. The emergency protective order is issued within the hour. Alexandria is led away in handcuffs, her protests fading into the rain-soaked night. Gerald stands in the doorway watching. When the squad cars disappear, he closes the door. Returns to the kitchen. Runs his hands under warm water, watching pink-tinged liquid spiral down the drain. In the reflection of the window, he smiles. Just slightly. Lauren's shoes squeak against the sterile hospital floor as she rushes through Seattle Memorial's emergency wing. The fluorescent lights are too bright, too harsh, painting everything in shades of clinical white that make her eyes ache. Alexandria Dallas, she gasps to the nurse at the desk. My daughter. She was brought in. Bay 7, through those doors. Lauren doesn't wait for more directions. She pushes through the double doors, scanning the curtained-off spaces until she finds her. Alexandria sits on the edge of a hospital bed, hunched over, holding an ice pack to her face. When she lowers it, Lauren's breath catches. Split lip, swollen eye, already purpling, a gash above her eyebrow held together with butterfly bandages. Baby. The word breaks in Lauren's throat. Alexandria looks up. Her eyes. God, her eyes look hollow. Emptied out. Mom. It's barely a whisper. Lauren crosses the space in 3 steps, gently cupping Alexandria's face, careful of the injuries. Up close, it's worse. Much worse. The swelling extends down her jaw. Blood has dried in the corner of her mouth. A nurse appears, chart in hand, voice professionally neutral. Dr. Harrison will be in shortly. We're monitoring for concussion. She pauses, then adds quietly, almost apologetically. The police report says she attacked her husband. The words hang in the air like poison. That's not what happened, Lauren says, voice steel. The nurse glances at Alexandria, then back to Lauren. She doesn't argue, but she doesn't agree either. She simply leaves. Lauren sits beside her daughter, takes her hand, carefully, because there are bruises there too. Dark finger-shaped marks circling both wrists, defensive wounds on her forearms. Tell me what you remember, Lauren says gently, slipping into the tone she used with trauma clients for 3 decades. I remember falling. Alexandria's voice is distant, fractured. Then Gerald was on the phone, then handcuffs. Mom, I swear I didn't attack him. He did something. In the kitchen. I saw him, but I can't. My head. It's okay. We'll piece it together. Dr. Harrison enters then, a woman in her 50s with kind eyes and a grim expression. She examines Alexandria with practiced efficiency, shining a light in her eyes, checking her reflexes. Concussion, she confirms. These injuries, she gestures to Alexandria's face, her arms, are consistent with being struck. Defensive posture, not aggressive action. The words are careful. Clinical. But Lauren hears what she's really saying. Your daughter is telling the truth. Then comes the paperwork. The emergency protective order. Alexandria is banned from her home for 14 days a minimum. No access to her bank accounts. Gerald had them locked for her own safety. Her phone confiscated, her keys, her car, her life, all behind a legal wall she can't cross. Lauren watches her daughter's face crumble as reality sets in. "How did I let this happen?" Alexandria whispers, tears finally breaking through. "No." Lauren grips her hands. "This is not your fault. None of this. And we're going to prove the truth. All of it." Alexandria's eyes meet hers, desperate, searching. "Where else can we find evidence?" Lauren asks. "Old phones? Journals? Anything?" Alexandria goes still. Then, barely audible, "My EMT bag. I kept everything in my EMT bag." Lauren finds Alexandria's EMT field bag exactly where her daughter said it would be, locked in her work locker at the fire station. The battalion chief, a woman named Torres, who's known Alexandria for 6 years, takes one look at Lauren's face and hands over the spare key without questions. The bag is heavy, worn leather softened by years of use. Lauren carries it to her car, hands trembling slightly as she unzips it under the dome light. Medical supplies, trauma shears, a stethoscope, notebooks filled with patient care reports and training notes. Then, wedged in the bottom corner, a small digital recorder. Lauren's breath catches. Alexandria had mentioned using it for training sessions, practicing patient assessments, reviewing her performance. Lauren plugs it into her phone adapter, presses play. Static. Then Gerald's voice, crystal clear, from 8 months ago. "You don't breathe unless I say so." Lauren's hand flies to her mouth. More recordings follow. His voice, cold and controlled. "Check your account. See what's left. That's what you're worth without me." Another. "If you tell your mother, I'll make sure she believes I'm the victim. I've done it before." Before? Lauren's mind races. He's done this before. She digs deeper. A journal falls out. Leather-bound, pages worn. The entries date back 18 months. June 15th. He apologized again. Brought roses. Says the stress at work made him snap. I believe him. August 3rd. He grabbed my wrist so hard today. Left marks. But he cried after. Said he doesn't know what's wrong with him. October 22nd. I'm starting to think I'm the problem. Maybe I am too sensitive, too demanding. The pattern emerges like a photograph developing in chemicals. Violence, apology, gift, calm, escalation, over and over. Lauren finds the backup phone next, cracked screen, but it powers on. The photo gallery loads. Bruises documented but never reported. Timestamps proving a pattern spanning months. Then she finds the text messages. Gerald had deleted them from Alexandria's primary phone, but the cloud backup preserved everything. Threats. Control. Explicit descriptions of what he'd do if she ever left. Finally, buried in the video files, dated 6 months prior, 18 seconds of footage. Alexandria must have started recording during an argument, the phone propped somewhere Gerald didn't notice. His voice, devoid of any emotion. "If you ever leave, I'll make sure everyone believes you're the monster. I'm very good at this, Alexandria. You're not my first." Not my first. Lauren sits in her car, reading her daughter's words through tears. "I love him. He says he'll change. Maybe I'm overreacting. Maybe I'm the one who needs to try harder." The manipulation, the gaslighting, the systematic destruction of her daughter's sense of reality. This wasn't reactive violence. This was premeditated control. A calculated campaign to break someone down, then trap them. Lauren makes copies of everything, calls the lawyer she trusts most, Amanda Chen, who specializes in domestic violence cases, sends encrypted files to her own email, to cloud storage, to 3 different locations. Then she texts Alexandria. I found it. We have proof. The response comes immediately. Proof of what? Proof that he's a monster. And proof that you're going to be free. The post appears in 3 separate victim advocacy forum groups, carefully worded but unmistakable, seeking information about Gerald Dallas, financial advisor, Tacoma area. My daughter was assaulted, but he manipulated police into arresting her. If anyone has similar experiences, please reach out. Confidential. Lauren doesn't expect responses. She posts it as a desperate long shot, hoping maybe, somewhere, someone else has seen through Gerald's mask. The first message arrives within 4 hours. Juanita Lewis sits at her kitchen table in Portland, phone trembling in her hands, reading the post for the 3rd time. Gerald Dallas. The name alone makes her stomach clench. 7 years. 7 years since she fled Seattle, changed her job, rebuilt her life from fragments. 7 years since the night Gerald claimed she'd attacked him with scissors, since the police believed him, since her reputation shattered like dropped glass. Her fingers hover over the keyboard. Then she types. I know him. I was with him. He did the same thing to me. 90 miles away, Kimberly Perry sees the same post in a different group. She's in her classroom, supposed to be grading papers, but the words on the screen blur as memories flood back. 10 years. An engagement ring she'd been foolish enough to accept. Financial control disguised as taking care of her. The escalating violence. Her broken wrist. She fell. Gerald told the ER doctor, his hand on her shoulder, his voice dripping concern, while his grip tightened in warning. When she called off the engagement, he launched a campaign, told everyone she was mentally unstable. Spread rumors, destroyed friendships. By the time she escaped, she'd lost nearly everything. She messages Lauren. He broke my wrist and made everyone believe I was crazy. I'll help however I can. Lauren arranges a video call for that evening. 3 women appear on screen, strangers connected by shared trauma. He used the same phrases, Juanita says, voice shaking. Word for word. Don't make me rewrite the story. He said that to me the night he staged the scissors incident. Kimberly nods. He isolated me from my friends first. Made me quit my gym membership because he said the trainer was inappropriate with me. Monitored my bank account. Then, when I pushed back, he became violent, Juanita finishes. And then, he became the victim. Lauren listens, documenting everything, her fury building with each revelation. This isn't a man who lost control. This is a predator who's refined his methodology across multiple victims, learning what works, perfecting his performance. He told Alexandria she wasn't his first, Lauren says quietly. Now I understand what he meant. Silence fills the screen, 3 women processing the horrifying truth. Gerald Dallas has done this before, multiple times, and he's gotten away with it because he's learned exactly how to manipulate the system. Will you testify? Lauren asks. In court. On record. Juanita exhales slowly. She has a life now, a career. Testifying means reliving the worst period of her existence, means exposing herself to scrutiny and doubt. But another woman is living her nightmare right now. And maybe, together, they can stop him. Yes, Juanita says. Kimberly's voice is steady. Yes. Lauren feels tears prickling her eyes. Then we end this. Together. Alexandria sits cross-legged on her mother's guest bed, staring at the pale blue walls. 3 days since the attack. 3 days of fractured sleep and incomplete memories that hovered just out of reach, like words on the tip of her tongue. Dr. Yolanda Chen sits across from her in a chair dragged in from the kitchen. She's younger than Alexandria expected, maybe 40, with gentle eyes and an unhurried presence. "We're not going to force anything," Dr. Chen says. "Memory after trauma is like water. It flows back when it's ready. We're just going to create space for it." They start with breathing, grounding. Alexandria describes what she knows for certain: the hallway, the punch, the fall. "What do you remember about the moments after?" Dr. Ye, Chen asks. "Gerald was standing over me, but he wasn't angry. He was—" Alexandria pauses, searching. "Calm. Too calm. Like he was thinking." "Stay with that. What did he do next?" The memory unfurls slowly. Gerald examining his hands, walking to the kitchen, the mirror. "He was looking in the mirror," Alexandria says, voice distant. "And oh God, he scratched himself. He scratched his own arm, with his fingernails, deliberately." The floodgates open. "He practiced breathing," she continues, words tumbling faster now. "Like an actor rehearsing, made his hands shake. Then he picked up his phone and—" Her voice breaks. "He rehearsed the 911 call, different tones. My wife attacked me, over and over until it sounded perfect." Dr. Chen leans forward slightly. "You're doing beautifully. What else?" "He put my hand on the broken lamp. I couldn't stop him. I tried to pull away, but I couldn't move. He dragged me, repositioned my body in the hallway to make it look like a struggle." Alexandria's breathing quickens. "He staged everything. The crime scene, the injuries, the call, all of it." The truth crashes down with devastating clarity. This wasn't a fight that spiraled out of control. Gerald had planned it. The argument about finances was bait. The violence was calculated. The 911 call was scripted. He set her up. "What are you feeling right now?" Dr. Chen asks gently. Alexandria sits very still. Somewhere inside her, beneath the fear and confusion and pain, something else rises. Something sharp and clear. "Angry," she says. Her voice steadies. "I'm feeling angry. And I'm ready to fight back." That evening, Alexandria sits at her mother's kitchen table with a legal pad and pen. She writes down every detail she remembers: timestamps, sequence of events, Gerald's exact words, the rehearsal, the staging, the whisper in her ear. "Don't make me rewrite the story." When she finishes, her hand aches. But for the first time since that night, she feels something other than helplessness. She feels like herself again. Lauren appears in the doorway, mug of tea in hand. "You okay?" Alexandria looks up, eyes clear. "No, but I will be. And Gerald Dallas is going to pay for what he's done." 5 days after the assault, Detective Gilbert Franklin arrives at the hospital conference room where Alexandria is recovering. He's followed the protocol, filed the reports, but something about the case gnaws at him. Gerald Dallas walks beside him, the picture of concerned husband, pressed shirt, worried expression, hands clasped almost prayerfully. "I just want to understand what happened," Gerald says. "If Alexandria needs help, I'll support her through it." They reach the conference room. Lauren Pittman stands blocking the doorway. "Detective Franklin," she says, voice calm but unyielding. "Before you continue, There's something you need to hear. She steps inside, gestures to chairs. Franklin hesitates, then follows. Gerald's confident stride falters slightly, but he recovers, sits down with rehearsed composure. Lauren places a small digital recorder on the table. "What is this?" Franklin asks. "The truth." Lauren presses play. Gerald's voice fills the room. "You don't breathe unless I say so." The color drains from Gerald's face. "If you tell your mother, I'll make sure she believes I'm the victim. I've done it before." Franklin's expression shifts from confusion to dawning horror. Lauren produces more: printed journal entries, photographs of bruises with timestamps, medical documentation, text messages recovered from cloud backup. The evidence spreads across the table like accusations made physical. "These recordings span 8 months," Lauren says. "The threats, the financial control, the systematic abuse. Those are taken out of context." Gerald starts. The door opens. 2 women enter, Juanita Lewis and Kimberly Perry. "Mr. Dallas," Juanita says, voice shaking but determined. "Do you remember me?" Gerald goes very still. "7 years ago, you claimed I attacked you with scissors. You staged it, just like you staged this." Kimberly steps forward. "10 years ago, you broke my wrist and made everyone believe I was mentally unstable." Franklin stands abruptly. "Mr. Dallas." Gerald bolts for the door. Franklin blocks his path. "I'm going to need you to come with me." For the first time, Gerald's mask cracks completely. He whirls toward Alexandria, who's appeared in the doorway behind Juanita and Kimberly. "She's lying. They're all lying. You can't—" "No, Gerald," Alexandria says quietly. "You are." She holds up a USB drive. "And I have video." The hospital lobby 30 minutes later. Gerald Dallas in handcuffs, cameras flashing, reporters shouting questions. His reputation, built on charity dinners and carefully constructed public goodwill, crumbles in real time. Alexandria watches from a window above, Lauren's arm around her shoulders, tears streaming down both their faces. "It's not over yet," Lauren whispers, "but it's beginning to end." 4 months later, Alexandria stands on the front porch of 4725 Maple Grove Drive, key in her hand, staring at the door like it might bite. The trial concluded yesterday. Gerald Dallas, convicted on 3 counts of domestic assault, 2 counts of filing false police reports, 1 count of evidence tampering. Sentenced to 8 years in prison, restraining order, asset forfeiture to compensate his victims. The house is hers again, legally, officially, irrevocably. But stepping through that door feels like walking back into a nightmare. "You don't have to go in today," Lauren says beside her, reading her daughter's hesitation. "Yes, I do." Alexandria's voice is steady. "This is my home. He doesn't get to take it from me." She turns the key. The door swings open. Inside, everything looks the same and completely different. The hallway where she fell, the kitchen where Gerald staged his performance, the living room where officers believed his lies. But the rooms are empty now, stripped of Gerald's presence. Just space waiting to be reclaimed. Over the next hours, Alexandria walks through each room. She's already arranged for the hallway to be repainted, soft gray instead of cream. The kitchen fixtures will be replaced next week. Every surface Gerald touched will be renewed, transformed, made hers again. Lauren watches from the doorway as Alexandria stands in the hallway with paint samples. "How are you feeling?" Lauren asks. Alexandria considers the question. The honest answer is complicated. "Broken," she says finally, "but healing. And that's enough for now." She's in trauma therapy twice a week with Dr. Kim Chen. She's joined a survivor support group where she met 3 other women rebuilding their lives. Juanita and Kimberly have become unexpected friends, sisters forged in shared survival. Together, the 3 of them are working with advocacy groups to reform protective order policies, to create better training for law enforcement, to ensure other women won't be trapped the way they were. Alexandria has returned to work as an EMT, different precinct, different crew, fresh start. Yesterday, a domestic violence call came through. She held the victim's hand, looked her in the eye, and said, "I believe you, and you're going to get through this." The woman had broken down, sobbing. Alexandria understood why. Now, standing in her home at sunset, Alexandria and Lauren sit on the back porch. The light paints everything gold and soft. "I spent so long believing his version of me," Alexandria says quietly. "The unstable wife, the violent one, the liar. It's time to remember who I really am." Lauren squeezes her hand. "A survivor. A fighter. My daughter." Alexandria looks at the sky, takes a deep breath. The air tastes different now. Cleaner. Like possibility. The scars will always be there. Physical and emotional, she says. But scars are proof that wounds can heal. She stands, looks back at her house. Her sanctuary. Reclaimed. "Gerald took a year of my life. He tried to take my home, my reputation, my truth. But he couldn't take my voice." Inside, her phone buzzes. A text from another survivor in her support group, asking for advice. Alexandria smiles. "And now," she says, "I'm finally ready to use it." She walks back inside, Lauren following. Together, they close the door on the past, literally and figuratively. The house settles into evening silence, but it's a different kind of quiet now. Not suffocating, not threatening, just peaceful, and ready to hold new memories. Better ones. The end.